to be with you tonight and share something I trust will bless your heart. Well, I'm going to read you some scripture tonight. And it kind of explained, Paul was the greatest man in the New Testament to start churches. And he started one that was just having problems all the time. And it was in Corinth. And Corinth was right on a waterway where they had probably people from the sea that were stopping off, and that maybe that contributed. But they were constantly arguing about things. So he spent a lot of time with Corinth and trying to get them straightened out. And so the thing that he emphasized more than anything else was love. And you know, love really answers to all things. You can solve an awful lot of problems with love. And of course, where you have groups, have a body of believers, or a home, or just a couple, you can have problems with love. And love would solve a lot of those problems. But a lot of times, it isn't given a chance. So he put this love chapter in the Bible right in the middle of the problems that Corinth had. So I want to talk to you about it a minute. Now remember that they were fussing about the gifts. There were about 9 gifts, and they were really having a time. Theirs was the best, and so forth. Well, anyway, so you'll understand it. Though I speak with the tongues of men and angels, and I don't have love, I'm just, they said, a tinkling cymbal. But you might say, I'm just a noise. Paul told them, he said, don't do that in the public services. He said, if you do it at home, okay, but he said, don't do that because it makes people think you might be a barbarian. And though I have the gift of prophecy, now that's a good one, and I understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith that I could remove mountains, and I don't have love, I'm nothing. That's pretty strong, isn't it? And though I give all my goods to feed the poor, that was important in the New Testament church, and give my body to be burned, well, my goodness, and I don't have love, it doesn't profit me anything. Well, Lord, you're kind of hard on us. Love suffers long and is kind. Love doesn't envy. Love vaunteth not itself and is not puffed up. It means proud. It doesn't behave itself unseemly in actions. It doesn't seek its own. It's not easily provoked, and it doesn't even think evil. Wow. It doesn't rejoice in iniquity, but it rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Love never fails. But whether they're prophecies, they will fail. Whether there be tongues, they will cease. Whether there be knowledge, it'll vanish away. Now, it goes down here and says, now abideth 3 things, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is what? Love. It's greater than faith. It's greater than hope. It's the greatest of the 3. So, if we can get the love job done, that's a lot of track record. And I've asked the Lord just to help me to show up, if anything, that is absent of love. And you know, when it says God is love, That means that everything God thinks, plans, even when he corrects, even in wrath, it's still love. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that we should not perish but have everlasting life. God so loves us. Remember how he walked in the garden with Adam? And then when Adam sinned, he hid because he was embarrassed in God's presence. And he didn't have any clothes on. He didn't even know he was naked. All of a sudden, these things began to flash up in his mind. And God loved that time in the garden with Adam. So he came and he said, Adam, where are you? And he said, I hid. And they scrambled to get some leaves and everything and cover them up. And he said, well, why did you hide from me? Because I was naked. Well, who told you were naked? All of a sudden, these things that were pure before weren't pure anymore. Well, we know what happened at that point, and we've had to deal with it ever since. But God is still love. He hasn't changed. Now, when I was a little girl, I think about 10, I had not been to the altar. I was very interested in what they did up there, And I said to my girlfriend, maybe we should go find out someday what they do up there. And she never seemed to be ready, so we just kind of forgot it. But we had a really good pastor, and he had a lot of altar services. And what he did was to open it up for people to come forward, go to the altar, and to be converted. And we saw that happen over and over and over. Well, I was just standing one day, and we had those kind of meetings, like Billy Graham had, he has them come forward. Okay, so I was just standing there, and I was beside the pastor's wife and her daughter. And all of a sudden, the pastor's wife shoved me and shoved her daughter right out in the line of traffic. Well, there was nothing I could do but move with the traffic. So I kept moving forward and thought, what'll I do when I get up there? I don't know what they do. So I kept moving and moving. And finally I got up there, and there wasn't hardly any place to kneel down, and I finally just found a place with a little wiggle room. And the strangest thing happened to me. I began to weep. I did nothing. I don't remember that I said anything to the Lord. I think he was washing my soul. I just wept and wept and wept and wept. And finally, when the people began to get up, I knew that it was time for me to get up too. And I knew something had happened in me, but I didn't know what it was. But the first thing that I recognized was love. Now, I wasn't aware that I didn't love somebody, but this kind of love was different. And I almost had to hold myself from just running up and hugging different people and saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. God is love. And that was the first thing that he shared in my heart. Now the next one was joy. And I can only express it this way. It's like I had a whole bunch of birds that were singing. It's like their little beaks were just open. It even seemed like nature had opened up. And nature was just like it was clapping their hands, and everything was happy. So I said to myself, look at those birds. They were so real to me, even now, I could almost see the birds. And they were singing and chirping and laughing and happy, and it was fun. So the next morning I went to school. All right, back then you weren't supposed to chew gum in school. Well, I had some gum in my pocket, so I put some in my mouth. And I was chewing away, and all of a sudden Miss Roth, our teacher, well, she turned to me and said, "Are you chewing gum?" Oh, I swallowed it real quick. No, I didn't want to be punished. You know what happened? The birds stopped talking, stopped singing. I mean, I was so distraught, I didn't know what to do. And so I waited till recess time, and I was just desperate to get those birds singing again. So I went up to them, because it was my joy. And I hadn't ever had joy like that. And I've been a happy little kid, but I'm telling you, this was different. And so when I walked up to the desk, I said, "Ruth Roth, I'm sorry. I told you a lie. I was chewing gum." Now, I don't remember that I ever in my life made a confession. But I tell you, I was desperate. I had to have those birds. And you know what happened? They came out from underneath where their feathers had covered them up, and started just almost yelling. And they were just jabbered. It was just absolutely delightful. And Miss Rock looked at him and she said, "You can go out and play now." So I went out to play, and I tell you, I'm sure I must have won almost all the games that day. I could run faster. I could throw the football. We were playing pass and touch. I could throw the football farther, and it was delightful. But that brings me back to love. Are you in a situation where love is a chore? It may be in a family situation. I'm sorry to say that I know couples that live together without love. They just live together because maybe it's financial reasons or other reasons, but there's no love. Sometimes mothers don't even love their children, or their children don't love their parents. And those are sad homes, but there are many homes like that. Sometimes I'm in a department store, and I've had people, mothers, talking to their children, and it was just awful. I wanted to go up and say, "Please don't talk that way to your children." And I thought, no, they're not my children, and I can't do that. And I was talking to somebody just the other day that said in their neighborhood, they said the conversation that the mothers have with their children and the way that they demean them, they said it is horrible. Well, I'm kind of safely covered here, and I'm glad for it, but I just think that it's good for us to be challenged, because the criteria, and we read it here in the 13th chapter of 1 Corinthians, it is the status, it is the high water mark of our standing with Jesus Christ, love, and our standing with other people, love. So I challenge you today, if you feel like you're falling short of love, tell God about it. Tell God about the feelings. Maybe you need to tell somebody else, "I'm not acting very lovely." So you think about that and pray about it. Okay. Love lifted me. Love lifted me. When nothing else could help. Love lifted me. Polston. Have a wonderful week.
Very good, Ruth.